Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Got two guests this morning, two subject matters, so we don't have any time to spare at all. Our first guest is Mr. Fredrick Nwabufo. He's the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Engagement. And so first of all, welcome, and thank you very much for making the time for us, Fredrick.
Thank you, Mr. Yori. It's my pleasure.
Indeed. We just looking at the budget. That's the first subject of conversation. The 2024 budget. Well, it's a very large one in the area of $34 billion if we are speaking in international currency, and 26 trillion for the 2024 financial year. This is according to the Budget Minister Atiku Bagudu. Now, the emphasis we understand is going to be on our investment. Can we talk a bit about that? Because that's one of the things we've been hearing a lot about, that one of the ways out of the stringent times that we are in, we've been hearing is going to be investment. Could you talk to us about the thinking and indeed, perhaps also touch on the execution of investment as a focus of the humongous 2024 budget?
Thank you very much, Mr. Yuri. The 2024 budget will be the first in the life of this administration.
Okay.
It is the budget of the new hope.
Ed.
It is the budget of renewed hope. It is a people's budget. It is a budget that is being designed to tailor to the needs of Nigerians. It is a budget that is being designed to revive and stimulate growth. It is a budget that is being prepared to tender to critical sectors of the economy. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is very passionate about job creation. So job creation and food security top the list. In terms of investment, the budget is heavy on areas of job creation, stimulating growth, as well as agriculture. So the budget basically will be tailored towards critical sectors that would stimulate employment and as well as growth. Sectors like agriculture. Agriculture provides about 35% of employment, contributes 35% of employment to the economy. The plan here is to double that number. That is about 70%, creating 10 million jobs along the value chain. Then digital communication is also another sector that is where investment will be going into for job creation, which is at the heart, which is the very, very essence of the administration, what Mr. President is really pushing for, creating jobs and ameliorating the sufferings of Nigerians. So the 2024 budget will be a budget that would answer to the needs of Nigerians. It is a budget that is taking into cognizance the current situation. It is a budget that Mr. President is prioritizing Nigerians. He is prioritizing the vulnerable and the most vulnerable. So Nigerians should expect very good things from the budget.
Okay. But as you know, we're in the midst of this crushing inflation. Well, I suppose one has to be grateful for little things. It's not as if our situation is the worst, but we've been in this double-digit inflation, and we're somewhere around, I believe the figure is 27.2% inflation rate. Now, this is biting on a lot of Nigerians, and I don't know what your thoughts are going towards next year, whether that will come down, because it looks like we're going to need every kobo of the budget, because there's so many things that the budget has to take account of. I've been reading that we're going to set aside money for pensions and salaries, and with inflation also eating into it, this is going to have to be very, very carefully managed, I imagine.
Yes, the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration is very conscious of this fact, and we are looking at inflation dipping to about 21% from the current 26% by 2024. And the rising food prices, if one of the actions that the president took as soon as he assumed office was to initiate a plan to secure Nigerians food-wise, this food security plan. Of course, there is an understanding that there are rising food prices, and action has been initiated to curb this rise, particularly in the area of provisioning fertilizer, seedlings, and other farming inputs to farmers, so as to boost productivity. So very much it's been taken into cognizance here in managing inflation, basically. Yeah.
And how are we going to fund this budget? One learns from the minister's statement that, look, we're going to be targeting 1.78 million barrels of oil, and an oil price we're going to be assuming $73.96, almost $74 to the barrel. Give me an assessment of that expectation. How realistic is it? 1.78 million barrels per day.
It is a realistic projection. It is very feasible. Recall that owing to the activities of oil theft, there was a fall, a plummet in oil production, But now this particular problem is being arrested, is being tackled. So we are looking at a projection of about oil production capacity of about 1.7 million barrels per day. It is very feasible. Right now, I think in September we did 1.3 million barrels per day. So it is expected to increase. And beyond the oil revenue source, we're also looking at non-oil revenue source. We're looking at areas, like communications. Digital communications is about the fastest revenue generator for Nigeria right now. It generated about 18% added 18% to the GDP. That was in the second quarter of 2022, and it is expected to rise. So beyond the oil-based revenue source, there is also other sources. So the essence here is diligent revenue mobilization through efficient taxation.
And as I said earlier, one sees that provision has been made for salaries. This is a necessary, pressure on the budget, and also this whole matter of pensions, which has been a very urgent matter. All of these, it's a sort of a different subject matter, but it's also next to this whole matter of creating unemployment. The one that has been created, the obligations as a result of those ones, the tenures coming to an end, is also a draw on government that has an implication for social stability and security.
Yes, like I said earlier, Mr. President understands the essence of creating jobs. He's very passionate about creating jobs. So the budget essentially will be financing critical sectors that will stimulate employment. It will be financing critical sectors that would, revive the economy and set it on an upward trajectory. So the budget is a potpourri of a lot of things that will cover critical areas, stimulate growth when necessary. And we are looking at 3.7 growth by 2024. And there are other metrics that will come to play. So the budget, Nigerians should have high expectations, because I believe their needs will be met, their needs will be covered. Every area is covered: agriculture, digital communications, SMEs, as well as infrastructure. So the budget contains, it is truly the budget of renewed hope. It is a budget that would set us on the path of an economic recovery. It is a budget that Nigerians should look forward to, basically. And talking about SMEs, it is the president's ambition to grow Nigeria's 450 billion GDP to $1 trillion in the next 8 years. So SMEs are crucial to the administration. Already there is a pledge to disburse about 125 billion naira to this sector to stimulate growth and to support small businesses. So the budget it's a very good one.
And this growth, part of it is an estimate of the economy expected to grow to around, the figure is 3.76% next year, even as we spoke about the inflation at an all-time high. But the economy is expected to grow along the lines that you have just sort of enumerated. Because all other things being equal, if anything happens, this is what economists also always worry about. If anything happens to the projections, it happened once in the case of oil, suddenly, doing the price of oil doing what it wanted, which was contrary to all the projections that had been made. But by and large, I think they've taken a nice, hard scientific look at it and think that it's reasonable to expect our economy to grow by about 3.7%, 3.76% next year.
The oil benchmark is conservative. It's around $73. That is what we are pegging it at. But right now, I believe it's around $95. So it's conservative, and it's a very feasible, realistic projection, basically. So I would like to also zero in on the 5 interventions Mr. President has made so far in the economy for the interest of Nigerians. We know that Mr. President initiated the food security plan to curb the rising prices of food. He also signed 4 executive orders to address multiple taxations and other strictures to businesses. And he also, the monetary policy that has been initiated by the CBN which is realistic, feasible, and forward-thinking, forward-looking, and as well as the SMEs, the plan for the SMEs to boost their capacity and of course sustainability in the long term. So the budget is, like I said, it's very realistic, it's feasible, it's conservative, it looks at all the indices, all the critical areas that need investments, all the critical areas that need stimulation, that needs growth. So the budget takes into account all these factors clearly.
Because the expectation is very high that this administration, President Bola Tinubu in particular, he's the front man. He has a whole team working with him. But, he's the guy who took away fuel subsidy. That's the way it is seen. It's not a matter of debating whether or not it is necessary. It was necessary. It has been done. It's a project that has been kicked down the road for a long time. But he now, is expected to do whatever can be done to lessen the effect on Nigerians who are groaning, as you yourself know. Most of us, most ordinary people I shouldn't include you in ordinary people, but most ordinary people like us know that these are very, very tough times. And it is expected that something is going to be done, has to be done, beyond just handing out money. And maybe that's where this whole investment and employment comes into it. Something has to be done to ease the pain.
Mr. President is prioritizing Nigerians in the budget. He's prioritizing the vulnerable. He's prioritizing the most vulnerable. He's prioritizing Nigerians, And as you well know, with the removal of subsidy on fuel, actions were initiated immediately, showing that there was a preparation before now. Actions were initiated to address the concerns of Nigerians, showing that Mr. President is very attuned to the needs of Nigerians. Actions, like I mentioned earlier, the food security plan was initiated. The CGN initiative to stimulate growth in the energy sector, as well as to reduce transportation costs, was initiated, as well as funds to state governments to help them invest in critical infrastructure like transportation, so as to reduce the weight on their citizens. Lots of plans were rolled out, showing that the president was prepared, ahead of time for this. And the budget will also be boosting, these areas, as well. The social investment program already is on the roll. So the budget will be one that would address the needs, the critical needs of Nigerians, the critical areas, the critical sectors, looking at all these areas, all the sectors that need stimulation, that needs growth, high employment sectors that will bring about the most employment for Nigerians, like agriculture, telecommunications, digital communications. These are sectors that have the capacity to generate the most jobs. SMEs as well. So the budget is heavy on these areas because the whole idea is, one, to tackle inflation, to build economic resilience, and as well to rebuild our buffers, our fiscal buffers. So the budget, is very heavy on this.
All right, then. In the meanwhile, Lawal has called in from Ajao Estate. Good morning to you, Mr. Lawal. Okay, we thought we had Mr. Lawal on the phone, but going back to you, where in case Mr. Lawal would join us as soon as he can hear us, maybe he can't hear us yet. You were speaking about transportation costs, and a large part of that is fuel, and this is coming from the pains that we are seeing. It's not news anymore by now as a result of the removal of subsidy on fuel. Decades long, we've become used to it. But the cheering news was that CNG, compressed natural gas, it's a new concept to a lot of people in Nigeria. Maybe the specialists would have known about it before. But stations are going to be set up, facilities are going to be set up and down the land, so that, and that's going to probably take a pretty penny out of it. I understand that Mr. Lawal is now ready for us. Good morning, Mr. Lawal. Not so. I was just told that you can hear us now. Mr. Lawal in Ajao Estate, are you there?
Hello?
Oh, finally.
Yeah,
good morning.
Good morning.
Quickly, please.
Hello?
Good morning, Mr. Lawal. We can hear you. Quickly go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning. Can I want to contribute to Uncle Yori's program.
Thank you very much for calling in. Go right ahead.
You said what?
Go ahead, sir. We can hear you.
Yeah. Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning.
Yeah, I want to contribute to your program this morning.
Okay.
So it was a long time I've been trying to get in touch with you.
We're very happy
now,
you made it now.
Our
guest is Fredrick Nwabufo, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Engagement. What did you want to ask him or contribute to the conversation?
So I used to enjoy your program. Then two, now concerning this economy issue, we would like that our gentleman there, because we believe he's part of the government. Now we want to bring an idea concerning this, the palliative to Nigerian citizens. Now, I think I want to make an advice, just because to make it easy, because the tensions are very high now. The fact that 7.5%, can federal government please revert it back to normal 5%, because the suffering are much. So I think this one will be part of the contribution to the palliative to general public of Nigeria. Now, because whatever you bought, any transaction you made, both bank, everything, you are paying this 7.5%, which is very high.
Okay,
So,
you're
so
talking
far we are
about
not
value-added tax.
The subsidy is no more there now. Why can't government just please refat that VAT back to 5%?
Okay, thank you very much
easy
for
to
calling in,
Nigeria.
Mr. Lawal. Really do appreciate your call. We had a difficulty getting you, but finally. Well, Fred, you heard him. Is government thinking about other areas they can cut the people some slack, which is what Mr. Lawal is suggesting?
Mr. President is very attuned to Nigerians. He's a listening president. He's very aware of all that is happening. And that is why he set up the Tax Reform Committee to look at our tax system, holistically, and to provide solutions and suggestions in areas where necessary to make it more efficient, to make it much more conducive for Nigerians, for businesses, and as well to strengthen it where necessary. Like I mentioned earlier, already as soon as he got to office, he issued 4 executive orders basically to address multiple taxation, to address the problems, strictures affecting businesses. So this shows that he's forward-thinking. He is aware, he's taking action in line with the needs, priorities of Nigerians. So it's an area the government is already looking into. The Tax Reform Committee is still, its work is still ongoing. So we expect that every need, every concern will be properly handled.
Okay. Well, it's just as well that Mr. Lawal, they are calling from Ajao State, brought up the whole matter of tax, and you've spoken about the tax reform committee. So part of the objective of government, of course, is to get a lot more efficient, whereas at the same time dealing with this whole matter of multiple or double taxations, trying to streamline it as much as possible, but also it's a source of revenue for government. And one of the observations was that there are far too many people outside of the tax net. So part of making it a lot more efficient is not just streamlining all those areas where there are multiple taxations in terms of double taxation, some people say triple, but also including more people within the net. Too many people, it is thought, were outside of the tax net. And so that's something that also probably bears mentioning.
Yeah, that's true. It is also one of the areas the Tax Reform Committee is looking at, how to make our tax system more vibrant, more efficient, how to mobilize funds, from the tax system to make it. So it is where Mr. President is already looking at. And I think he mentioned something about palliative, giving money to vulnerable people. It is also an essential mechanism. 5,000 naira, it's worth something to vulnerable Nigerians. I know that some of them actually don't have worth, as much as 5,000 goods, as much as 5,000 naira. So the reformed and revamped social investment program that was recently initiated by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. It looks at the problem holistically and much more robustly. So instead of 5,000, I believe the federal government will be giving 50 million vulnerable Nigerians 25,000 naira monthly, for 3 months. So that is also an area that is expected to stimulate, productivity for those that will invest in their businesses. And also for those that would, invest it in areas that the funds are needed. So it's part of the measures the government is introducing, among other measures that it has already introduced and has kicked in already. So it is, the federal government is looking at the problem holistically in all areas, in all angles. It's taking action as regards tax. It has taken action as regards wage improvement. It is taking action in the area of palliative as well as in the area of transportation through CGN powered vehicles. So it is looking at the problem holistically, not just in one direction, but in multifarious directions. So That is what the government is doing.
All right, then. Well, thank you very much, Fred. Mr. Fredrick Nwabufo, Senior Special Assistant to the President on public engagement, as it were, touching on the 2024 budget with a focus on investment and also looking at aspects of it. I would like to thank you very much, Fredrick, for coming on our program this morning. Appreciate your coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. It's my pleasure.
All right, then.